And one thing that the Panthers could do, they could, and I'm not a firm believer in getting cute. If you really like a guy, I say get him and don't play around. Because if you play around, you end up losing the guy. If you're really committed to the guy, just go get him. The Panthers could trade down and then try to take a quarterback in a later spot. Fitterer talked about that yesterday. Let's hear from him a little bit on the possibility of trading out of the number 6 overall pick.
I think there's probably a handful of teams, maybe 3 to 4, that are really serious about it. We're just keeping all of our options open, but it's definitely something that we're going to look into. But if there's a good player there at 6, we're going to just stay there and pick the player. You know, we have several players on our board that get to help us get to 6. And so if there's a good player, we'll stay there and pick. But, you know, without having a second or third round pick, we're going to keep all options open.
How many players would you be happy with at that 6 among the players in the top 10 right now?
So we always talk about there's a ledge, you know, in the first round. This year it's right around 20. And that ledge within the ledge really stops right around 6. And so we feel like there's going to be a quality player there. But at that point, we'll make the decision. If there'll be a couple guys on the board that we'll just pick. We know we want to take them. We know they can help us. If they're gone, then we have opportunities.
Kind of hard to parse through what he's saying there. I gleaned from that he does think that after the first 20 players, there's a drop-off, so they're not going to fall any farther than 20. He kind of spoke out of both sides of his mouth on whether or not there's an initial ledge after 6. I get the impression, based upon what he said at the very end, that there aren't 6 guys they really love. And that if all the guys they really love are gone, that's when they activate the plan to trade back. That's when they get into their second tier. So why take a second-tier guy at 6 if we can take a second-tier guy at 16 or wherever they would end up being?
Right. Well, that's what they got to worry about. I think the biggest thing, the big number one need for their team is the tackle position. So where they could be a little screwed here at 6, if they have tackle on the horizon, right, Mike, is where the number one pick thing really gets a little interesting in the ripple effects here. Because if Jacksonville does end up going, let's say Evan Neal or one of the tackles, him or Ike Ekwonu, then let's just say Houston, there's definitely logic to them. They maybe go offensive line too. So now you got 2 out of the first 3 picks, so that could happen. You know, you look at that, and then you go, all right, the Giants at 5, everybody knows they want to tackle too. So you could have the top 3 tackles as far as Ekwonu, Neal, Cross, all off the board, possibly at 5, and there's not a tackle worth taking there at 6. And I think that's probably what he's referring to a little bit as well. So then you trade down, and Mike, you heard right. I heard the same thing. There's not a lot of superstars in this draft. To me, there's like 8 or 10 really, really, really awesome players, and then there's these like 12 or 13 really, really, really good players, and then you get a lot of like, whoa, this guy's going to start for your team for a long time, maybe not going to be an all-pro or anything like that, but going to be a good player in the NFL for a long time. That's kind of how the draft is. But yeah, if that happens there, Carolina's going to go, damn, okay, what player here do we really need, or what's the need that we can fill at 6? And that'll be a big question. And I would think that's, certainly on their radar. And Mike, the opposite of that is if let's just say Jacksonville takes Evan Neal, and now you got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where you could start to see teams go, wait, the 4 best players on our board are still available here. And that could add some trade action to where maybe now teams do want to get up. If one of those, I think most teams' 4 best players on their board are Ike Ekwonu, Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, and
Evan Neal.
Evan Neal, excuse me, yes. And if they're on the board maybe around Carolina's time and things go a little differently, they could have some teams that call up to try to trade and stuff.
I mean, that's the key. They can talk about trading down all they want. You got to have a team that's willing to make the trade.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There are always teams ready to trade down, stockpile more picks. If the guys they really love are gone, you need to hope that there's somebody drafting later who senses an opportunity to get the guy they really want.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.